Hi paper crafters! Welcome to another Design with Jo video. I'm Joanne Rogers, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing with you in mind since 1999. We were going to play with the elegant eucalyptus. So what we're going to be working with is just a piece of our basic white onto a basic white thick card. So we're going to run this through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, but because this is a 3D embossing folder, I need to pull out my gray cover. So let's put that in. Let's put in our elegant eucalyptus. And I want to try and get that in the middle. So I'm going to put in my paper, and then I'm going to look at where it is. I'm going to try and get it in the middle here. Okay, and then I'm going to run that through. Now this is where your little line is going to help you. Okay, and now I'm going to run that through. And run that through your embossing machine, and here's what we have. Okay, so there's what we have, is our beautiful eucalyptus. But we're going to give it just a little bit of color. And I'm going to pull in my sponge daubers. So this is how I keep my sponge daubers. And I have some greens here. I'm hoping that I have one of these greens that we're able to use. And I just keep them and I label them. And you've seen this before, but for those who haven't seen, this is Granny Apple Green right here. I just label them with a file folder label right on them. And then I save this green and reuse it over and over again. So soft seafoam. Open that up, and we are going to tap onto it, and I'm going to tap off. So let me just grab a piece of my paper. So this is one that I have used over and over again, but I want to, this is a light color, but still I'm going to tap off. So I'm going to very lightly swirl over top. Now, why I'm using a sponge dauber today instead of using, say, a blending brush is because I want to limit my color a little bit. So even with the small blending brushes, I've found that they tend to go everywhere. And so I want to try and get a little bit closer into my color. So I'm going to go, and I'm just lightly going to go over top of the leaves that are in the middle. And you can pop onto it, but I am just using a little swirl pattern to go lightly over the top. Okay, so there's a few leaves here in the middle of this eucalyptus that I can just bring out by doing that. And as soon as you do that, the image just pops out at you. And I'm going to, so there's three different kinds of leaves on the eucalyptus here. There's the leaves like we have, which are the more broad ones. Then there's these more oval shaped ones. And then there's also these berries. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do other leaves that are similar to this one, okay, just to bring it together. So let's go even lighter. So I am barely touching the paper on this one. So we are going just very, very light. And I can see that I want to go, maybe these ones here are part of that middle one a little bit. So you're going gentle, gentle, gentle on here. Okay, but it's just picking up the color, and it gives you some options with your embossing folders where maybe you haven't used them in this way before. So just give it some color so it's almost becoming a stamp, and you are just coloring, but you're the artist. You get to apply the color where you want to. And when you're using a sponge dauber, you have the flexibility to be able to do that wherever you want. And I can see I've got a couple more here. So you can color. I know you all have the ability to do this. Okay, so we have our spray, we're going to call them, going out from the outside edges. Let me show you what I'll show you what the garden green looks like. Let's pull it in, and it's going to be one that has hardly any color at all. Okay, so that's a pretty dark color. So if I even go light, 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 light. So the difference between the blending brush and the sponge dauber is that you may not get as soft a finish when you're done. So I'm going to pull in the old olive, or I'm sorry, the mossy meadow. I guess I'm not, let me pull in mossy meadow. Where's my mossy meadow? There it is. So here's my mossy meadow. So it's a little bit better color, I think, to probably go with the soft sea foam. So I'm going to go with just a touch of the mossy meadow. And you'll see how that just brings up that color just that little bit more. This is a new stamp set, so it's on the online exclusives right now, and it's called Sweetly Scripted, and it is longer script font. So, and there, what I like about it is that there's different writing within the stamp set. I pulled in a piece of our our vellum. And I'm really, really sad because our vellum is being discontinued, and I don't know that it's coming back on our online exclusives. So if you are a vellum fan and you're running a little bit short of your vellum, you're going to want to pick it up pretty sweet. Okay, so I'm just going to go right in the middle of this, and I'm stamping using my mossy meadow right on top. I'm going to try and get it straight without getting my head in there. So stamp that down. Now this is a big stamp block and a fairly narrow stamp. So when you put it down, you want to make sure that you don't rock your stamp back and forth. You want to have it nice and sort of flat. And I'm not pressing down too hard, because sometimes when we press down too hard, if we inked up really aggressively, sometimes we get ink around like a halo effect. So we're trying not to get that. And normally our classic inks, if we were putting it onto just our white cardstock, it would sink right in. But because we put it onto vellum, which is basically a plasticky finish, it's still pretty wet. And I'm thinking that you can probably see it there. It's shiny. So I'm going to put clear embossing powder over top. Just sprinkle it right over top. Get it all off. I didn't worry about using my embossing buddy on here because it's clear embossing powder. And now I'm going to pull in my silicone craft sheet, first of all, and my heat tool. We're going to use setting number 1. I'm going to heat it up first of all on number 2, and then I'm going to bring it back to number 1 to actually heat up our vellum. Oh, whoops, that was a little too much. And now we're just going to heat this up. So if you're an impatient person, I usually am, you may think, oh, I got to get this going a lot quicker. But try and just curb that impatience, because when we go too fast, that's when we can warp our vellum. So this will be nice and shiny, and it will be a nice bold color. And it's one of the reasons why I pulled in that darker green mossy meadow on top of the soft sea foam, so that this is just going to create a card that's going to coordinate really well. Okay, so I need my trimmer, because I'm going to trim this down. I think that's a little bit too wide. Okay, so we're going to cut this down, and I'm going to cut it on one side, I think, only to start. So I'm not actually measuring where this is going to be. I am eyeballing right now the distance between the bottom of the Y and the end of the vellum, and the distance between the top of the H and the channel in my cutter. And I'm just eyeballing that, and I'm not measuring, because if I measure, I will never get this right. And I'm going to cut that. And I think that we will be happier with a narrower one like this. Yes, I think we will. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these off, cut them off both sides. I'm not worrying about getting them nice and straight because I don't have to. And on this piece, I'm going to put it on so that it's pretty straight on there, and I'm going to go upside down here. It's pretty straight, and it's even from one side to the other, and I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to fold over this guy right here and press that in so it's nice and firm. And then we're going to press over the other side too, because we all know that with vellum, we have a real tough time getting it to stick properly, right? So I'm going to put this in place just with a little bit of my Seal Plus. Now, put one in place. Don't put both of them in place together because we do want to make sure that we're going to be nice and straight. So you might think, oh, that's a little fiddly, but I prefer this over putting any glue on my vellum. Okay, so now what we're going to do, so we have our happy anniversary. We're just going to take some, I think we're going to use dimensionals here. I don't want to use our foam strips just because I think it's going to make it too tall just for this particular card. I have to tell you, I'm really going to miss vellum. I'm hoping that it comes out in some other version. Okay, so there's our card, and we're going to put on just a few dots. So let's pull in maybe a big pearl. So now where you place these is sort of interesting. I'm going to put a bigger one down here, and we're going to place some over here. Now I'm not going to place them actually on the image itself. And one more little guy maybe right in here. Okay, so we've got it surrounded, which is sort of what you want to do. So here you have, when you need to make a sympathy card, when you need to make an elegant card like this anniversary, or you need a wedding card, this is a way that you can pull out your embossing folders and use them in a slightly different way and add some color. Thanks very much for joining me. Please like the video and subscribe if you'd like to. Also join my email list where you can get exclusive ideas from me every week. Thanks very much. Have a great paper crafting day.